Check test. Good morning, everyone. May I request all of you to be seated, please? We are starting in a minute.
ये पीपीटी कौन ऑपरेट कर रहा है?
आज तक लेडी न सारी रूपाली मैम. Requesting all of you to please be seated. Good morning and a very warm welcome to day 2 of the 18th National Seminar based on the results of NSS 78th and 79th round organized by the National Statistics Office, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, Government of India in collaboration with Goa University. I know there is still a lot of excitement among you and you're catching up on, probably what you did last night. But I request all of you to please remain seated and pay attention so that we can start today's sessions. Following yesterday's insightful sessions and stimulating discussions, we're ready to begin our first session for today. The theme of technical session 4 is Annual Survey of Unincorporated Sector Enterprises, ASUSE, and the session will be jointly chaired by Shri Salil Kumar Mukhopadhyay, Additional Director General, Enterprise Survey Division, NSO, and Professor Badrinath Rath, IIT Hyderabad. May I invite both of you, please, to make your way to the dais. Shri Salil Kumar Mukhopadhyay and Professor Badrinath Rath. Let's give them a round of applause. May I request Shri Niret Kurian, Deputy Director, CQCD, to welcome them with a memento. May I also invite the discussants for this session to join us on the dais, starting with Ms. Sonakya Samadar, Deputy Director, ENSD, NSO, and National, and Mr. Ujjwal Srivastav, Deputy Director, RAU, MOSPI. Kindly make your way to the dais. Our second discussant will be Mr. Dipankar Mitra, Deputy Director, National Account Division, MOSPI. And our last discussant will be Mr. Jugo Prakash Bhattacharjee, ex-ADG, SDRD, MOSPI. Is Mr. Bhattacharjee here? Thank you, everyone. Before we begin, it is my privilege to introduce the chairpersons for both the technical sessions today. Shri Salil Kumar Mukhopadhyay is a 1996 batch Indian Statistical Service Officer, at present posted as the Additional Director General of the Enterprise Survey Division of the National Sample Survey. Mr. Mukhopadhyay leads the end-to-end operations pertaining to enterprise surveys of the National Sample Survey, like the Annual Survey of Industries and Annual Survey of Unincorporated Sector Enterprises. Let's give him another warm round of applause, please. Dr. Badri Narayan Rath is a professor in the Department of Liberal Arts at IIT Hyderabad. He holds a PhD in economics from the Institute for Social and Economic Change, Bengaluru. His research focuses on economic growth, industrial and international economics, energy economics, and applied econometrics. Dr. Rath has published widely in national and international journals and actively collaborates on interdisciplinary projects. At IIT Hyderabad, he mentors research scholars and teaches courses in economic theory, quantitative methods, and international trade. Before we begin the discussions, may I remind you that each presentation will get 20 minutes and there will be 5 minutes for Q&A at the end. So Shri Mukhopadhyay and Dr. Rath will be chairing this session on Annual Survey of Unincorporated Sector Enterprises. Over to you, sirs.
A very good morning to all. Respected DG NSS, Geeta Singh Rathod Madam, DG Central Statistics, NK Santoshi sir, ex-CSI and Secretary, Praveen Srivastav sir, ex-DG, Manna sir, ADGs, DDGs, professors and scholars of the university, my colleagues, friends. Yesterday, we had experienced a blast of scholastic analysis ranging from camps, MIS, and HCES. Today, we have two sessions to be co-chaired by myself and Professor Roth. In the first session, we have 3 papers, and we have among us the presenters, Shunakha Shomadar. She is posted in ENSD. In fact, the producer of this division, which produces enterprise and industrial statistics. So among the presenter, we have the producer, as well as one of the recently created unit, research and analysis unit. Ujjal Srivastav is there. So that is one thing. And then we have yesterday, actually, who enthralled us with his artistic performance, Dipankar Mitra. Today, we also expect to be mesmerized by his analytical presentation. And we have among us one of the designer of the NSS service, Sri Jugopokas Bhattacharya. He retired from erstwhile SDRD, and he also had actually first-hand experience in producing unincorporated sector and industrial statistics. So this is a very varied and balanced set of presenters representing divisions from which produces industrial statistics, enterprise statistics, that is ENSD, the division which is the major user of the industrial statistics and enterprise statistics, that is NAD, Dipankar Mitra, and Sri Jugopokas Bhattacharya. So we hope to be as much enthralled as we were yesterday. So let us give a big hand to the presenters. And thank you very much.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. At the outset, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to the NSO as well as the Ministry of Statistics Program Implementation for giving me an opportunity to be the co-chair along with Mr. Mukhopadhyay for this prestigious national national workshop on related to MSU as well as the ASI data. And I am also equally privileged to be part of this, August audience, the eminent experts, particularly most of you are actually statisticians. And I think it is important the way the MOSPI actually is creating the database and how this database actually going to be helpful for the overall benefit of our economic growth, as well as for the overall benefit of the society, which is pretty much important. And therefore, understanding this sort of data when we are creating new data and how we are going to disseminating those data in terms of presentation is very, very useful. And I think in this regard, I am really once again thankful to the NSO as well as the Ministry of Statistics Program Implementations for giving me this opportunity to share the dais here. Thank you, everyone. Thanks.
Already, the the structure in which the presentation will be made has been announced. So you are privileged to have 20 minutes of time. Yesterday, we were struggling with time, so 10 minutes or 7 minutes was the norm yesterday. Let us see, with 20 minutes time and 5 minutes, so we have 60 minutes for presentation in total and 15 minutes for this question and answer session. 75 minutes total. So that is the structure. Thank you. Yeah, so now I invite Shonakha and Ujjal to make the presentation on productivity and investment and productivity nexus for the informal economies and evidence from India. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, everyone.
ये नहीं है हमारा
भूल गया नेक्स्ट करना पड़ेगा फिर वहाँ से लोड करना स्टार्ट कर दें क्या बोल तो सकते नहीं मैं बोल रहा था Yes. Good morning, everyone. Slide mode पे presentation कर दीजिए. As we all know, that production plays an important role in the economic growth of any country, and here we have tried to explore the relationship between productivity and investment through the use of ASUS data in the informal economy of India. Next slide. So this is our outline of our presentation. Next slide. Next slide. So here we used ASUS 2022-23 data, and we have considered here all the three sectors of economy, manufacturing, trade and service sector, and we have considered both type of establishment to study the relationship between productivity and investment. Next slide.
Next.
So moving on, what motivates us to conduct this study? So there are some literature that finds some relationship between productivity and investment for the organized sector of economy, and we found one study in Tehran that analyzes the relationship. There is a weak relationship between productivity and investment, and another study found the causal link between productivity and investment. They found that the capital investment drives the productivity, but the reverse direction, they didn't find any significant relationship. We found several studies in India's organized sector where they've explored this relationship. However, there is a notable gap in the unorganized sector.
Next slide.
There is a notable gap in unorganized sector to explore this relationship. So this motivates us to conduct this study. Next slide. So here our outcome variable is output per worker, and for own account establishments we have considered one predictor variable that is measured as investment in own fixed asset including land and buildings, and for hired worker establishments we have considered two explanatory variables. One is capital investment and one is labor investment. Labor investment we have computed in the form of total wages and emolument paid to the hired workers. Next slide. Here we considered two models. One is the basic one wherein the control variables we have not considered, and another one is the comprehensive model where we consider four control variables that are age of the establishment and total sales of the establishment and ICTU uses and annual interest paid to the outstanding loan. So we considered here only 4,54,292 establishment for this study. We have excluded 15,000 establishment due to sample being out of coverage, casualty, and they are open but not having production, and 3,350 units have been excluded due to they are being in non-market production activities, and 3 units have been excluded due to their involvement in electricity establishment. So we have finally study sample is 4,54,292. Next slide. So these are some descriptive statistics, and in our study sample we found that for both of the own account establishment and hard worker establishment, service sector has shown the highest contribution in the estimated share, and while doing estimated productivity is found to be highest in service sector for own account establishment and manufacturing sector for hired worker establishments. Next slide.
Next.
Speaking about the accumulation of fixed assets, trading sector turned out to be the most asset-centric among own-account establishment and service sector among hired worker establishments. And service sector has also been observed to have spent maximum on wage and emolument to the workers. Next slide. Talking about the age of establishment, we found that both of the own account establishment and hired worker establishment have similar age structure. Next slide, please. Talking about another variable, uses of ICT, we found that higher worker establishments have shown greater uses of ICT uses, particularly for trading and service sector.
Next.
Talking about estimated annual receipt per establishment, we found that trading sector has shown highest number of sales in for both type of establishment, own account establishment and hired worker establishment. And estimated annual interest paid per establishment was found to be higher in service sector for own account establishment as well as hired worker establishment. For proceeding further, I'll call to.
Next, Peter. We'll now discuss the key findings from this study. So we have seen that for both the base model as well as for the comprehensive model for the own account establishment, there has been a significant positive relationship between capital investment and productivity. However, the magnitude of the relationship varied across sectors. While we have seen that the highest strength of relationship was observed for other services, the lowest has been for trading sector. Moving on to the hired worker establishment, the situation has been reversed as all three broad activity categories has registered negative relationship between capital investment and productivity. The highest magnitude of negative relationship has been observed particularly for the manufacturing sector. Again, for the hired worker establishment, we have seen that even though capital investment has registered a negative impact on productivity, the investment on labors in the form of wages and emolument has played a positive role, as we observed a significant positive relationship between investment in wages and emoluments and productivity. Next slide, please. We'll now discuss in detail about, now discuss in a more granular level about the manufacturing sector first, starting with the manufacturing sector first. So for the control variables we have used here, we have seen that for own account establishment, annual interest paid on outstanding loan had no significant effect, while for the HWEs, for HWEs as well as for the OAs, each of the establishment was found to have a sort of a negative relationship with productivity, signifying that the older the establishment is getting, its productivity has been observed to have decreased. Special mention may be given for ICT, where we have seen that as for the hired worker establishment, there is significant positive relationship between usage of ICT and the productivity of the establishment. Next slide. For moving on to the trading sector, we have observed that there has been insignificant relationship between age of establishment and productivity for both OEs and HWEs. And again, ICT has played a great role here as well in terms of productivity, because we have observed that for both OEs and HWEs, especially for the HWEs, there has been significant positive impact of usage of ICT on productivity. In fact, the impact was so much so that for the trading sector, while doing our analysis for the subsectors at NIC 2-digit level, we have observed that for those sectors which has shown lowest strength of relationship between investment in asset, the highest impact of ICT was observed there as well. Next slide. In the service sector, we have observed that OAE had no significant effect on productivity. ICT has played no significant effect on productivity for own account establishment. And it was also observed that interest paid on outstanding loan had slightly negative impact on productivity. And overall, OAs, as we have already mentioned, that OAs had registered the highest strength of relationship between investment in capital expenditure in the form of fixed assets and productivity. But while doing the more granular level analysis at NIC two-digit level, we have observed that the highest contributing sectors in the other services, which were NIC subgroup 49 and 56, their strength of relationship between capital investment and productivity was observed to be much lower than the overall contribution of the service sector. Next slide. So here, I'll just summarize the three key takeaways from this whole project. The first, I will be talking about the capital investment. We have seen that for all three broad activity categories, there was significant positive impact of capital investment on productivity for the OAs, even though the magnitude varied. But the trend was observed to be negative, as there was, as we have observed, that there is a slightly negative relationship between the two variables, showing potential inefficiencies in capital allocation. However, we have observed that technology has played a great role in in predicting the productivity of an establishment, especially for the HWEs. And finally, compensation to workers in the form of wages and emoluments were observed to have had a highly positive impact on productivity for the hired worker establishment. Now, what we believe is that this was just the tip of the iceberg, and we wanted to further proceed our work through other analysis as well. And we have got two plans specially tailored for this. The first is about checking the robustness of this analysis. This was done only on 1 year's ASUS data, which was ASUS 22-23. We plan on expanding on repeating the same exercise on ASUS 23-24 data, as well as for all future rounds of ASUS. And another plan we have here is that we may see the both-way relationship as well. Here we have measured the impact of investment on productivity. We may see the other way around as well, as we have discussed during the literature review, that the other one of the studies has found that the relation through the other way was found to be more effective here. With this, we have come to the end of this presentation. We just wanted to end the presentation with a short quote underlining all the findings here, but we could not find anything, so we asked ChatGPT to generate one. So this line just summarizes the whole project. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonakha and Ujjwal, for an exhaustive presentation of your analysis. Now I invite Sri Dipankar Mitra, Deputy Director NID, for a presentation.
Good morning, everyone. I am Dipankar Mitra, going to present our research work, where we have critically reviewed the current methodology for estimation of this change in inventories for unorganized sector, and accordingly we have attempted to propose a new method where we have used 2 years ASUS data. And I have written this paper with along with Mr. Gopal Shah, and I think now it is corrected. So he is DD in HST, but today he is not present with us. So I have planned my presentation in this way, as outlined in this slide. So before jumping straight into the core part of my research work, I would like to take few minutes for context setting to undertake this study. So, as Chairman Sir already told, that our National Accounts Division is one of the main user of the ASUS data, and And we are on also this process of basic revision of our GDP series, and and in this we have decided that 2020 to 23 will be our next series, and from this base year we are going to use annual this ASUS data in our estimation for household sector. So this ASUS data is used for estimation of many important characteristics for household, that is unorganized sector, starting from GVA, and it also includes change in inventories also. And these national accounts, we have this CIS estimate as a part of this gross capital formation on the expenditure sides. And as defined in the system of National Account 2008, inventories are the goods and services which are produced for sale but not yet sold, or the goods that are kept for intermediate use in the production process but not yet used. So, and the change in inventories are defined as value of the entries into the going into the inventories less the value of withdrawals and the less the value of any recurrent losses of goods and that held in the kept in the inventories. So this important parameter, change in inventory, will serve as an indicator for any economic booms and recession in the economy. So in SNA 2008, we have mainly 4 types of inventories. That is, first one is raw material, that is the good used for inputs in production process. Next one is work in progress, that is the partially completed goods, includes like ships, constructions. The third one is finished good, where the goods are completed and they are ready for sale but not yet sold. And the last one is goods for resale, that is the trading goods, and is acquired by the wholesaler or retailer for resale in the same condition. There is another concept apart from this change in inventory in national accounts, that is the holding gains or losses, where it is the other economic flows where the value of assets and liabilities is changed due to the level and changes structure of the prices. So it is this another concept just side by side of this change in inventory. So currently we are using institutional approach in national accounts for computation of change in inventory. We have divided the whole institutional unit into 3 main institutional sector. That is, first one is the public sector. So it is completely organized. It comprises general government, departmental enterprises, and for this public sector, the data on CIS and book value of inventory for the current year are obtained from the budget documents and book of accounts. The next sector is private sector. It comprises the financial and non-financial private corporations. And for the private corporate sector, the data on CIS estimates are obtained from the MCA database through analyzing the profit loss accounts and balance sheets of the companies. This sector also includes quasi-corporations, and for this type of establishments, we are using ASI data. The last one is the household sector. I think we already know, we know how much important this household sector is in terms of not only economy, but also in terms of number of establishments in this sector and the workforce that are involved in the sector. So for the household sector, the benchmark estimates are compiled for the base year using the latest enterprise survey. Now it is ASUS. The GVO and the GVO ratio with the inventory are used to arrive the current price estimates of the inventory CIS, and then appropriate price indices like WPI are used for conversion the current series into the constant series. So this unorganized sector contributes a lot in terms of economy also. It contributes almost 42% to the total GVA. So, but the sad part of that is that, so unlike the organized sector, in which every unit maintains a book of accounts, the annual CIA estimated from the memory-based monthly data in unorganized sector, like from the enterprise surveys. But the enterprise surveys have so far been conducted periodically or annually for unorganized non-agricultural sector, mostly with a reference period of last 30 days preceding the date of survey or the last month to collect the data. Then monthly estimate of different principal characteristics like GVA, CIA are calculated using this memory-based data. And then monthly estimates so obtained are converted into the annual estimate by using some suitable adjustment factor. Here the factor is 12 for the perennial enterprises and number of operating months for seasonal and casual enterprises. So this is the formula for compilation of the annual change in inventory as per the existing practice, where we have just factorized these monthly CIA to obtain the annual CIA estimates. So mathematically, if we express these these estimates, so it will come as the difference between the closing stock and opening stock obtained from the present study. So these major issues involved in this method are, this measure requires the CS and OS, that is the closing stock and opening stock data from the single survey. In fact, this domain level estimates is work out on as the weighted average of this annual CII, which is compiled as the 12 times of the monthly change in inventories. So it will subject to very high sampling error. Other than that, the reporting of OS are likely to be subject to greater recall error also, and thus this estimate also subject to higher non-sampling error. So I have calculated this RAC of few inventory types, that is 4 inventory types: raw materials, finished goods, semi-finished goods, and goods for resale. And what I have found from NSS 73rd round data that was conducted for the unincorporated non-agriculture enterprise establishments. And what I have found that RAC, these RACs are also, this is high for mainly 3 inventory types, that is raw material, finished, and finished goods, and the goods for resale, and it is greater than 20%, even at the most desegregated level. So this leads to the this statement that these CI estimated from by the current method, so are not that much precise estimate. So other issues involved in this current method is that the measure is the 12 times of the observed monthly CII in nominal terms, which is additionally subject to seasonal fluctuation in prices as well as volume of inventories. Then I have gone through the instruction manual given to the field staff for collection of data that is relevant to this inventory type, that is item number 581, 582, and 583. And they are instructed that to record these values of opening and closing stock at their purchaser prices, for which they may use the capital locked in stock at beginning and end of the survey period as the proxy measure. So as a result, the entry for change in inventory that is recorded in 583 would be in fact the same as the observed CII in nominal terms as I discussed. So I have also analyzed the ASUSE 2022-23 data, and it reveals that for 90% cases, the entry in 582, that is the closing stock, is higher than the record that is available in 581. That means it resulting in CAI positive values for CAI. These observed in the observed CAI. So what are the portion of these price changes, and what are the actual CAI? So with this question, so I proceed with my study, and these are the factors which motivated me to undertake this work. So the estimates of the CII for the unorganized sector in India are the weakest among the available economic indicators, and there is no usable estimates of annual CII for the unorganized sector. So unlike the organized sector, estimates of CII are produced from the memory-based monthly collected data, and there is also additional stage of sampling of 30 days out of the 365 days, and it leads to the higher sampling error. So conversion of these monthly estimates into annual estimates may induce error in the estimation. These annual estimates of CI is badly affected since the monthly estimate may take both positive and negative values. Moreover, the higher order of RACs in the CI estimates are subject to, even at the all India level, calls for a close examination of the existing methodology. The estimates of CII that have been used, we are using this CII entry in the supply use table also as a balancing item. So the estimated value of CII of the household sector, both at constant and current prices, from 2011-12 to 2022-23, are positive for all years. That means there is some upward bias in the estimation. So with this, with the introduction of ASUSE, the vital data gap for compiling annual estimates for the unorganized sector has been addressed, because now onwards we will have the estimate for every year, but the methodological issues still persist in the estimation process. So with this background, we have proposed a new methodology to obtain the estimate of the CI for the unorganized sector, where we have we have proposed to obtain the annual CI estimate as the difference between the closing stocks of 2 survey periods, and this method could be used for estimation of the CII on domain level, broader level, using this 2 years ASUS data. And this method also doesn't require the opening stock at border level also. So this methodology has following advantages. The proposed methodology uses 2 consecutive year CS data, which could be estimated with greater precision from these 2 surveys. The sampling error is also expected to be much lower than the existing methodology, and more importantly, it can be decomposed and adjusted for change in price level using appropriate price indices. So we have decomposed the proposed methodology into 2 separate components, that is the CI at current prices and the holding gains. That was not possible for the existing methodology. So these are the variance expressions for both the methodologies. So this graph represents, before computing the CII directly from the ASUS data, we have done certain adjustments. 5 more minutes. Yes, okay, sir. We have done certain adjustment, and this one important adjustment is the adjustment for survey period. So in both years, the total FSUs were more or less equally distributed among 4 sub-rounds. However, in 2011-12, due to abnormal conditions, the allotted FSUs could not be surveyed in the respective sub-rounds. So it leading to the discrepancies between the survey period and the intended sub-rounds. So in contrast, in 2020-23, there is no such mismatch between the surveyed and estimated, this allotted and the service enterprises between the sub-rounds. So for competitive purpose, Comparative purpose, the analysis focuses on the units surveyed in sub-round 4, that is January to March 2022 of 2021-22 ASUS data, and sub-round 2 of 2022-23 ASUS data, ensuring that we will have a full complete 1 year gap between the two survey period, and then we have adjusted the multipliers accordingly to a factor of 4 for the calculation purpose. So another adjustment was done is due to the non-homogeneous criteria for reporting inventory items between two surveys. In 2021-22, inventory information was collected only from establishment with 10 or more workers, whereas in 2022-23, it was gathered from all the establishments. Due to this difference in reporting criteria, the inventory data from two surveys cannot be merged together to estimate the characteristics. But as alternative approach, what we have done in the study, that closing stock, inventory stock for the trading goods and semi-finished goods is estimated using the receipt information, not from the inventory block. And this method provides a way to address the inconsistency and allows for the estimation of the inventory categories despite the differences in data collection. Inventory for other items like raw material and finished goods and work in progress cannot be estimated due to non-availability of information in the receipt block. So after this adjustment, I employed these two methodologies on our data set survey, where I have, for the current methodology, I have just multiplied the monthly CII with the number of months in operation for seasonal unit and 12 for the perennial unit. And the CII, our proposed methodology, CII estimated using taking just difference between closing stock of the two consecutive survey ASUS. Then CII, for the proposed methodology, we have adjusted the closing stock for the inflation also to a factor of 1.03 to estimate the CII. These are the results, and what we have found that from this result, that not only direction, the magnitude of the change is also remarkable in the annual estimates of CI between the two methods. Here we consider a few NIC codes relevant to this inventory type. This variance estimation, because the NSS now moved away from the sum sampling method of variance estimation, and due to non-availability of data on total number of FSUs in the rural-urban substratum, the variance cannot be estimated directly, but we have made certain assumptions to obtain the variance for both the methods. So this result shows that this is the standard deviation and RAC of the closing stock and the CII as per the existing methodology for the 2-digit NIC code. And the results show that in case of both inventory types, the RAC of the closing stock for both surveys, both survey years are much lower compared to the estimate of CII as per the existing methodology. And this further indicates that under the existing setup of ASUS, CES for a compilation category, that is NIC 2-digit code, can be estimated with more precision compared to the estimation of CI as per the existing practice. So we concluded our study as this proposed method is applicable for estimating the annual CI for larger domains and is not suitable for the service conducted annually. And we will not able to have the estimates at the enterprise level, but at domain level we can have the estimate. One key advantage of this approach is that apart from lower sampling error, the estimates are subject to less affected by respondents' recall lapse, as the reporting of the closing stock at the time of the survey period should not be significantly impacted by the memory issues. The analysis also indicates that the annual CAI estimates derived from the proposed method are notably lower and differ in direction compared to those from the existing method. Furthermore, the variability in annual estimates of closing stock is more precise under the new method than the CI estimates produced by the current approach. And therefore, it is concluded that the proposed method may offer a suitable solution for estimating CII for the unorganized sector. Thank you.
For an exhaustive presentation. Now I invite Sri Jugal Prakash Bhattacharya, ex-Additional Director General, Hospital Survey Design and Research Division, to present on a very interesting current topic, in fact, to have some idea about the digital platform workers from ASUSE for 2 years later, 2021-2022.
Distinguished persons on the dais and in the audience, and my colleagues and friends. First of all, I thank profusely officials of NSSO for giving me this opportunity to interact with you. It's an immense pleasure for me. Now, as far as this paper is concerned, there is nothing path-breaking or very analytical. But I have tried to explore an area of labor force and enterprises, which is almost wholly unexplored. But it is very important from the policy perspective. Today or tomorrow, there will be demand for data and information on this sector, so we can think for the future. Now let's go to some slides. So it's a glimpse of gig economy and platform economy as revealed by ASUS, recent rounds of ASUS. Now, these are very common, these terms are now doing rounds for the economy and the labor force. So this gig economy is an economy which is not traditional. Gig workers are those who do not fall under conventional employee-employer relationship. They are rather used to be called as partners in the enterprises. So this is different kind of environment. Gig workers have some kind of, entry and exit barriers are not that strict, and workers have some autonomy, but flexibility, and they work in simple and complex situations. There can be two categories of gig workers. One of the categories is those who are contracted through online platforms like Zomato, Swiggy, Uber, Ola, and so on and so forth. And so these type of gig workers, we term them as platform workers or platform economy. And rest of the gig workers are, of course, is gig workers. Gig workers can be in the formal sector as well as in the informal sector. Now, this numbers of gig workers is increasing, and increasing very rapidly in India as well as in the world. Because this is convenient for the employers and sometimes convenient for the workers also. Niti Aayog has estimated that there was 7.7 million gig workers in 2020-21, and they projected that this figure could go up to 23.5 million in 29-23. So that's a sizable number. And so very important from the policy perspective, right? But the problem is that this is an informal sector and there is no regulatory framework yet. So this is an issue with the government as well as other actors. So given that situation, we will need some data, but there is no comprehensive survey done on that. Niti Aayog is an estimate. Right, so I'll go into some details of how they calculated and estimated later on. So in that context, ASUS has made an attempt to capture them. So this is an, so they have included the entrepreneurs, I'll call them entrepreneurs, and those entrepreneurs who are in the Ola, Uber and other transport sector. And there are delivery persons, which is very rampant in urban areas, so like Zomato, Swiggy, Flipkart, Amazon, etc. So it's a beginning that ASUS has made, and certainly not a very comprehensive. It's an exploratory nature. So therefore, these estimates, whatever information we get, I call them as glimpse, not a very thorough overview, right? Now, what ASUS has done is to provide two special codes, one for app cab operators like Ola, Uber, Meru, etc. That is 49227, and another one for delivery services who provide goods to the households on order on an online platform. So I call them delivery services. So that's the code 96099. So my paper can be divided into two parts. One is I inquire whether these estimates from ASUS, how far good they are. And another one is that I get some profile of the entrepreneurs in the platform economy. So first, what is the data I have used? For the enterprises, there is no comparable data, except that I found something in the Ministry of Transport sector publication. So they collect data on number of taxis registered. So I compare the number provided by the. Let me go to that slide. Yeah, they provided some data on taxi operators registered. But then problem is that this is taxi operator, and in ASUS we have given the code for app cab. So that's not comparable, but we can make it to some extent comparable because app cabs is a subset of taxi operators. So if we combine the two codes in ASUS for taxi operators as well as app operators, then it gives me a compiled figure for taxi operators, and then I compare it with the Morth figure. But then another problem is that Morth figure is only for 2019. So where is that? Yeah. So you can see that the estimates of app cab and taxi operators are 48,355 and 17,063,787 respectively, making a total of 18,12,142 operators in ASUS 22-23. According to Road Transport Yearbook 2019-20, the number of registered taxis in March 2020 was 34,58,000, and among them newly registered taxis were 2,22,000 something. But is a figure of 2020, and comparing it to 2022-23 is strictly not possible because we do not know how many of these MORTH registered taxi operators are in operation. But even then, if we calculate that, okay, if we assume that around 2 lakhs new addition is there, so in 2022-23, it will be increased by, say, 34 lakhs, maybe some addition of the 40 lakhs or so. And we have this, in our estimates, it is 18 lakhs 12,000. So it's kind of about 50% of that figure, worth figure. So certainly we have not captured some of the app cab operators as well as taxi operators. And then percentage of taxi app cab operators in total taxi operators is around 2.7%. So obviously there will be something has been missed. So this is as far as establishment is concerned, establishments of taxi operators. We have compared taxi operators from both these sets. Now what about workers? So for first of all, we also remember these things that number of samples captured is very small. It is 269 for delivery services and 272 for app cabs in 2021-22. In 2023-23, there is an increase. And there are too many states, even bigger states. For them, there is no representation from these two sectors. So somehow it has been missed. These are missed. Now, let us now compare the workers. Now, with whom we can compare the workers? Only reliable source is PLFS, right? So, but these two codes are not there in the PLFS. PLFS has codes for taxi operators, and another category is there for which ASUSE has given some figures, that is S3, that is other land transport. And within that land category also, some metro services are not excluded. But then there is some codes for in PLFS. So what do? We can add app cab and taxi operators in ASUSE and compare with PLFS. And also we can compare the S3 in the ASUSE and in the PLFS. S3 means app cab, taxi operators and other land transport operators. So I tried to compare, but there are some difficulties. But then we have tried. So what we have done, I filtered from the PLFS. Okay, where is it? Yeah. So you filter out from the PLFS those ASI codes which are in ASUSE. So, but still there are problems with ownership codes. In PLFS, we have all kinds of ownership, government, cooperative, unorganized sector, everything is there. But then also we can filter out by ownership code from the PLFS. So there is a more comparable set we can obtain from PLFS. But then there are other issues. See, PLFS workers and ASUSE workers, there's a large difference. Because there are difference of approaches in PLFS and in ASUSE. In PLFS, it is usual activity status, subsidiary activity status, current weekly activity status. And in the ASUSE, we have some kind of fairly regular workers and average of that over 30 days. So strictly absolute numbers are not comparable. But then, assuming that within each set there is consistency, so we can compare the percentage of workers in the PLFS and in the ASUS. So I tried this procedure, and what is the result we will see? Yeah, second bullet. So estimated number of workers in ASUS 22-23 in app caps and tax operators are 49,434 and 18,12,817, making a total of approximately 18.62 workers. But the number of workers in tax operation in PLFS is 43.84 lakhs. So it is a general trend, ASUS worker is less. But then let's consider the percentage. Then percentage is in ASUS of taxi operators is 1.64 and 1.70 in 21, 22 and 22, 23, whereas in PLFS it is 2.33 and 2.33 and 2.23. So this percentage is also less. Now consider this is another bigger set. Let us consider the bigger set. We have considered taxi operators, which for ASUS is app cap plus taxi operators, non-app taxi operators. S3 is a bigger set. Let's consider that set in PLFS and ASUS. So that percentage is also less. In ASUS it is 5.49 and 5.70 for the 2 years, and in PLFS is 9.24 and 9.04. So there is some underestimation of these type of workers in ASUS if we consider PLFS. So now let us again see this delivery services. There is no comparable figure. So therefore, whatever NSSO says or ASUS says has to be accepted. But let's see, what is it? Estimated number of establishments are 34,827 and 50,813 in 2 years. And workers are 43,855. Huh? Yeah, sure. And 57,349. So as a percentage is very small. But gut feeling is that in the urban sector, that percentage should be more because delivery service is rampant in the urban sector. So some kind of, now this is one part. Now let's see what are the operational profiles. So most of the AppCab and taxi operations are dominated by male proprietary establishments. Educational level of AppCab operators is higher than that of taxi operators. That means more educated people, more with higher education level is coming to AppCabs. We can go through this one. 7% have 7% of AppCab operators and 30% of taxi operators and other economic activities to supplement their income. Then 89% of AppCab and 80% of taxi operators reported the location of establishments, mobile market or without fixed premises. But there are 8% of AppCab and 3% of AppCab have reported fixed location. Now this is ambiguous. I couldn't understand how this AppCab operators can have fixed location because they are always on the mobile. This is one area I'm not clear. All establishments are nearly all establishments perennial in nature, and they work for 10 to 12 months mostly, and some of them work for more than 10 hours. And then for delivery services, 99% are male operated, 1% is female operated. Educational level is still higher for them. And 16% engage in other economic activities to supplement their income from all this. And then location code is 89% is mobile and 5% is fixed. Mostly it is perennial, mostly it is 10 to 12 months, and 10% of the students more than 10 hours, right? So this is about the profiles, right? This is the gross, this is the gross value added, right? It seems that 22-23 is better than 21-22. Of course, this is the first time ASUS 21-22 was published, so I think it's gradually getting more stabilized. I have some more slides on data, but there is no time, so I'll not go through it. So let's now come to suggestions. Yeah, so from this study, I feel that we must have more information on the ecosystem of gig workers and platform workers. Just saying that if somebody works on some app platforms, there may be a problem because the number of platforms are increasing day by day. So we must devise a generic definition of platform workers that needs to be incorporated, and investigators should be adequately instructed about that, because this is a different kind of enterprises. Secondly, I think this SSS formation has also to be looked into, because for every NIC code, NIC 5-digit code is not possible to make certification. But some secondary strata have too many NIC codes. And if you do not have a sufficient number of allocations, then it becomes which NIC code gets selected, it becomes very arbitrary, or the variance increases. So it is not a proportional thing. So that we have to look into that part. And if we consider that gig workers is going to be an important area, then either we have to make a special certification or think of other ways, making a special survey for gig workers. But this does not improve the overall estimate of the ASUS, right? Then for workers, it should be PLFS. That gives a better estimate of workers and is used by NAD also, PLFS workers. So in PLFS, also there should be attempt to capture the gig workers by adequately defining or adding some special codes. And to know other conditions of gig workers, we can put some more questions either in PLFS or in ASUS, or in both. To summarize, these gig workers or platform workers are going to be a significant part of the labor force, and will be required to get estimates or measure their sizes as well as other conditions. In the labor codes proposed by the center, there are differentiation between unorganized sector, gig workers, and platform workers. So at any moment they will demand data to devise the policies. And to know the social benefits or the working conditions, exploitation by the employers, we must also include some workers, some questions. So, okay, thank you. I conclude here.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much for the presentation on a very important, pertinent, and a topic of current discussion. Thank you, sir. Before we proceed to the question and answer session, any comments? Sir, we will now have 15 minutes for the question answer session. So we take all the questions first, then the respective presenter authors will provide clarification or answer on the questions. Thank you very much.
Hi, I have so for the Sonakshi and Ujjal's paper. So some of the results are quite surprising. The association between productivity, asset and productivity, it's diametrically opposite for own account worker versus hired worker enterprises. So you should be able to explain it. Is it like the number of workers? Those variables you need to include and see. I mean, because without explaining it, it's very difficult to. And when the bivariate association was similar, right? Then it changed when you include other. I don't know. Maybe adjusting for state fixed effects, number of workers they are hiring. Maybe they don't need workers as such or something. I don't know. So you should be able to explain why the association is diametrically opposite between these two type of enterprises. And just one comment for the last present, it's really important topic, I agree, and it would be useful to make the codes consistent between PLFS and ASUSE to capture the gig workers and the app-based platform workers precisely. Yeah.
First, on Sonakshi and Ujjal Srivastava's paper, you have used the two models. Labor productivity is function of capital productivity in one model, where own account enterprise capital was not there probably. And in another model, labor productivity is a function of capital productivity and wages. Right? Now, basically, productivity estimation depends on the production function first. Now, you have not used production function anywhere. Normally, the production function, that concept of production function or use of production function came from Cobb-Douglas production function. Then ACMS, you probably heard that Arrow, Kennedy, Minhas and Solo, ACMS production function. Then the constant elasticity of substitution production function. Then translog production function. From this production function essentially takes labor and capital as explanatory variables. And these are interrelated. And that is why we do the multiple linear regression or non-linear regression. Now, the point is that you have not assumed that, and instead you have done labor productivity function of capital productivity. You know, these are very related, because the labor productivity increases or decreases if you use capital or if you don't use capital. Okay, if you separately measure labor productivity and you don't, the capital is not there, then labor productivity will be less. Now, as soon as one unit add capital, his labor productivity will rise. So there is a close relationship, and that you have found in your analysis also. The point is that these outputs, that relationship is very, relationship is there, but it will, the model you have used, you have not shown the model estimate. I mean, that R square, R bar square, or whatever. That if statistics will give you the whether that model is significant or not. Nowhere you have mentioned model. Okay, and that's all. And you should correct these things and update. Otherwise, the paper is excellent. New way of thinking is there. And on Dipankar Mitra's paper, it is excellent. And in fact, in ASUS, you know that in our questionnaire, we have kept only closing stock, right? And the only intention was that the way you have done, that was the intention. And probably you have published one paper in Survection also on this. Now, only thing which I am feeling not very comfortable, that is when you are assuming CII A annual is equal to CII M into 12. There I have problem. You see, what is CII? Closing stock minus opening stock. And monthly, the unit is providing monthly information. Now, when the closing stock is more than
opening stock, then the next month the entrepreneur behavior is that it will automatically adjust. You will reduce the stock. The assumption you are making that if it is positive, CII for month is positive, then CII annual will be into 12. That is, it will continue to increase. So that assumption itself is questionable. Otherwise, this is an excellent paper. And Jubala has given the direction. Nowadays, we are fighting with estimating gig workers and all these things. This is also a very excellent paper. Thank you, sir.
First of all, it's very interesting to see use of ASUSE data in unorganized sector that were waiting when I was business telecom. So you tell about this change in stock where it forms in capital formation. Maybe I would suggest next time you can say where it stands in overall expenditure side GDP. So that who is not in national accounts, they will also get an idea exactly overall economy where the CIS stands. Second thing, capital formation we prepare for all institutional sectors and industrial use, around 11 industrial use. So have you tried this method for all of them? That I would like to know.
Sonakya, this is one observation on your presentation. It was nice presentation. One observation I had from your presentation that you showed that there is, if there is increase in emoluments, there will be increase in productivity. But I think that there should be some limitation of, if you increase the continuous emoluments, it won't increase the productivity. But it can be other way. If you increase the productivity, you will get the more emoluments. So have you examined or tested that way? I would like to comment, get your comments.
I would like to compliment all the presenters. Their work is very good. Just minor observations you may like to consider. On Sonakya's paper, where you are studying the association between productivity with certain variables, there I find that you have taken total sales, if I not incorrect, as also a variable. It is not meaningful because total sale may have direct relationship with the productivity. So you can explain why you use that variable, number one. That is the only point. Dipankar's paper, yes, excellent work. I think it has been published in Sarvekshana, I remember. Yeah, but then could you enlighten us? I find that still, based on your alternative method, the level of RAC of those estimates is quite high, some 50%, etc., which is alarmingly high. What are your thoughts? How that margin of error can be controlled through this average? Any thoughts? No. And Juga, yes, good analysis. But then have you derived the estimates at the state level? How the figures behave with the administrative data? Because Uber drivers, number of Uber drivers, I am not very sure whether some administrative figures are available. And more importantly, what is the level of precision of your numbers based on the ASUSE survey? What is the margin of error, relative standard error? Yes, that's all.
My name is Husenda Hassani. I am a research scholar at Goa University School. I am from Afghanistan. So my question is from the first presenters. First of all presentation was wonderful. So my question is that when we are estimating productivity, so you use output per worker as a labor productivity, and we know that output from production function, from a basic production function, we know that output determined by the three components at least: productivity, total factor productivity, capital, and labor. So we know that in total factor productivity in your model, total factor productivity come as like euro terms. And we know that there is a connection between total factor productivity, the labor and the capital that firms or an enterprises use. In your case, for example, total factor productivity can affect on wages, and total factor productivity can affect on investment. For example, if a firm has more total factor productivity, they might pay more wages, they might pay they will also invest more. So these all variables, I mean these all independent variables is connected to each other. It causes endogeneity problems. So using simple OLS will provide inconsistent result. How you deal with such kind of things, and also small things as very well explained by the SOR. So if we use production function, if we go from production function, you use output per worker as a dependent variable, in total investment as an independent variable. So from production function point of view, it is not correct. At least it should be investment per worker or investment per something like that. Thank you so much.
We have another question. We can take one more question, sir, from Professor Srivastava, sir.
Thank you. I think all three presentations were very good, especially from the national accounts perspective, because national accounts actually looks at how the establishment dynamics impacts the industry dynamics and the economy-wide dynamics. So all three were very good. Just a bit of a clarification I want. In the first paper, did you do the NIC-wise analysis also? Because a lot of the industrial codes are amenable to capital intensive and others being labor intensive. So that distinction needs to be brought out. In the second wonderful presentation, and I think it should be expanded. In the third, the gig economy is really wonderful. I mean, like the analysis that you posed by using different survey data. Now that the government is giving a lot of focus on the gig economy and the fact that they are being asked to register on the eShram portal, the way the dynamics work in terms of trying to formalize the informal sector, I think is a wonderful study. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So I request the authors presenters to kindly start with Sri Jubapogas Bhattacharya, sir.
Yes, one question from Manna sir was there. So actually I didn't go for state level estimates because sample size is very small. 15 states did not have any Ola Uber kind of thing. 11 states did not have any delivery services. So there is no point in giving the estimates. And for the all India estimates, I could have done RSCs, but then I found that this is even if RSC is small, the estimated figures are not comparable to administrative data. Only administrative data for taxi operators is not road transport data for taxi operators. I couldn't find any other administrative data. And for delivery services, there is no comparable data. And for workers, only PLFS, truncated PLFS or field level PLF and this something. So estimates are lower. So this is a beginning. Only 2 years have passed. And so taking lessons from these two past surveys, NSS will go ahead and stabilize the estimates. Thank you.
Thank you all for your suggestions. I will take care of all these important suggestions. So coming to the search query, inflating the monthly CI to annual CI by a factor of 12. So it is the flaw of the current methodology that we have highlighted somewhere. Accordingly, we are trying to propose some new methodology that will encounter these assumptions. What are the assumptions we are making in the current methodology? I think it is not accurate because we are just selecting a month for the data collection. So in that month, maybe as you stated, the closing stock may be high because the shopkeepers or enterprise may be keeping some stock in their so that for the next month he can release those stock. And So these are the main flaws of this kind of methodology. So this should be taken care of. So our appeal is just to tackle these flaws and how we can improve. So coming to Magnus's questions, Madam's questions, we have actually inventory. There is an inventory block in the ASUS data, but the information sample observation is very less. I think it is less than 2,000 observations are there. So we have used the other receipt block where we have found these two closing stock of semi-finished goods and trading goods. And from there we calculated this CII, and because of less number of observations we have not calculated for all the AICs. There is not sufficient number of samples. But we have tried for two inventory types, semi-finished goods and trading goods. And for trading industries, all NSS codes are covered. For semi-finished goods, we have covered 3-4 industries because there is limited number of observations. So RAC, coming to the RAC, this RAC is high in our proposed methodology also because one is the number of observations is very less there. And another one is we have because these number of FSUs data is not available as per the variance calculation formula that is given in the report. So we need the number of FSUs also, capital N. So we don't have this information. So for that we have made some adjustment. So we have multiplied some factors in the variance formula. That's why capital is very small. So that's why the RAC is also high for our methodology. I think this is the information the semi-finished goods receipt block. They are collecting some information on closing stock for semi-finished goods and trading goods. So similarly, raw material, they collect the information for raw material and other inventory type. So we can calculate from the receipt block, we can calculate the closing stocks estimates, and then we can have the change in inventory information. So it will, I think, reduce the RAC much lower. Coming to Praveen sir's question, sir, the same thing. We have tried for trading industries only because the available number of enough number of observations, and for few industries related to semi-finished goods like textile industry. So for all industry, we have not we are not able to compute actually.
Thank you for your valuable feedback. So Shantanu sir is not clear. His question was about why there was an opposite direction observed for OAs and HWs. While doing our literature study, which was mostly based on the organized sector, which are obviously much larger firms as compared to the establishments observed in ASUS, we have seen that in most of the cases we have observed, the relationship was always negative. So while coming to ASUS, the hard worker establishment tends to be larger in magnitude as compared to OAs. So it is just a hunch that maybe the size of the establishment here has played a role in fine-tuning, affecting the effect of investment and productivity. Next, coming to sir's question, sir, we did check the suitability of the model and find out R square and F statistics. Though it was, we could not mention them in the slide, but they came out to be significant, sir. Really sorry that we could not mention them in the slide. And as this, all the literature study that we have done, sir, most of them has used productivity function, and we did 2 or 3 papers where they have used output per worker or GPA per worker as the proxy of productivity. So we do have future plans for using productivity function. Mostly the most famous one, the Cobb-Douglas model. We do have plans for using that in future study as well, sir. And then coming to Sunil sir's question, no sir, this study was only one directional. We tried to measure productivity. We just wanted to see the effect of capital investment and other investment on emoluments on productivity. The other way analysis we could not do here. That would have been made the paper much bigger on the time measurement as well. So we'll do that as a separate study in future analysis. And yes, we have kept total cells in the regression to come to Manasar's questions. It was used as a control variable because for the base model where we haven't used any type of control variable, we have seen some contradictory result in our analysis. So we thought of keeping a few control variables as well as we measured the interaction effect as well. The interaction coefficients we did not show in the slide. But that's how it was just included in the model to cater for the interaction effects only. And yes, someone asked about whether simple OLS was sufficient here or not. As we mentioned here also, we are planning to use productivity function in our future analysis as well as simultaneous equation for catering to the need of the two-way analysis again. And coming to finally coming to Praveen sir's questions, yes sir, NIC two-digit level analysis was also done for those industries where sample size was at least 50. But we did not show the result from all industries, but for each of the broad activity sectors, we have mentioned some of the, in the slide, we have mentioned about some of the industries where some significant and some interesting result was found. Thank you.
No, thank you so much. Actually, though there is a constraint of time, but I would like to just thank that I really enjoyed all the three papers, particularly when I look at the contribution of from the NSS as well as CSO with the ASUSE data, which actually you three actually brought and disseminated here. That's really great. And in being an academician, I am going to give few comments, particularly to improve your paper, particularly if you are trying to publish in the impact factor journals. As far as designation of knowledge is concerned, the papers are really good, and I really congratulate all of you. But now coming to my few specific comments, with regard to the first paper, I think already many of the audience, including Sir, have already highlighted. You need to first focus why you are focusing on the partial productivity, labor productivity, because it's nothing related to production function. Though there are solo residuals, neoclassical growth model and all, but your paper is nothing talking about how the total factor productivity and capital are contributing, rather than you are picking a partial productivity, which is the labor productivity, and trying to see how this is dynamic interaction with the investment. And therefore, the introduction section is required more, motivation, which I did not find by reading the paper. And then second comment with regarding to model specification, I think many audience have already highlighted about the model specification. I don't know why you are only taking a baseline scenario. Of course, it's good for a particular, I think, you talk about, if I remember, it is for the OAE, but when coming to HW, you are looking about the control variables. So again, the control variables needs to be also linked with the theory. I did not find how, for example, Munakar was asking the cell, why are you taking cell as a function of productivity, as a function of cell? That needs to also come from the theory. And each of the variable must be linked with the theoretical framework, which is again missing in the paper. And then third is, of course, you need to look at nothing related to simultaneous equation, rather than, I think, if you are going to have again, I know there is a data constraint because you are looking about only a cross-section data rather than a time series data. And therefore, you look at the heteroscedasticity and multicollinearity issues are there. I could see by looking at the results. You need to address those issues because the cross-section unit is so high, so that's why probably you need to capture that before doing any sort of weighted least square or simple OLS, whatever you are doing. And so those are the comments for the first paper. With coming to the second paper, I really enjoyed, and in fact it is very much innovative, and thank you so much and congratulations that you are actually trying to see what is the existing way of measuring the inventory, change in inventory vis-a-vis the method. However, I personally feel, again, I think I just heard that you are already published in the journal, which is good, but if you are trying to look at how best your paper can go to much international audience, you need to work on this, maybe extended version of the paper can publish in some of the international journal with having high impact factor, because this is very novel, and you are actually trying to look at how this existing is having certain limitations vis-a-vis the new B approach which you have done. But at the same time, I think there are many other approaches. I don't know whether you have looked at the international review literature. There are many approaches which you need to focus and see what are the best alternative approaches. Then why you are choosing these approaches. Again, within this approach, if a particular, you are actually looking about something model which is related to autoregressive in nature, yt is a function of yt minus 1, that's essentially you are looking about. But if you don't have the YT minus 1 every year, if suppose ASUSE is not able to conduct the survey every year, then if suppose you want to calculate the change in inventory in the next year is going to be big issue. And second, there are certain external and internal shocks, like you think about pandemic or something structural changes happening to Y minus T, then that need not be necessarily going to reflect in your YT year. So that needs to be also addressed or at least highlight why you are actually choosing and what are the limitations of the existing method also needs to be, because particularly the cost with regard to different sort of the inventory products and the life cycles, the discard rate, those are the things needs to be also implemented in the model. And coming to third, it is again really wonderful, sir. Thank you so much for bringing something which is all we are discussing, and that way I think it is going to contribute. But I request not to of course you, but as well as to the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, if they can create a wonderful database, because this is something we academicians are looking. Gig economics vis-a-vis what is the contribution of gig economics, particularly in terms of output and employment. And maybe you can think about tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 cities, which is you could see that some of the many states are missing. Of course, there is nothing in your hand, but I request if our ministry can look forward and think about how to create a new database which can actually create something related to output and employment, particularly the multiplier effects and the spillover effect needs to be also estimated. Then we can actually understand what exactly this sector is contributing. Otherwise, it's really wonderful, all the papers and the sessions. I am really grateful to you, sir, for co-chairing with me. Thank you.
So that is the end of the first technical session of the day too. Thank you very much. We can give you big hands to the
Thank you once again, Professor Rath and Sri Mukhopadhyay, for chairing this session so efficiently. Thank you to the discussants also for those insightful presentations and that very fruitful Q&A that followed. May I request you to make your way back to the audience, please? We will now have a tea break, a 15-minute tea break. We hope to be back by 12:30. May I request the Deputy Director General and senior officers to proceed upstairs for tea and the other participants to join us in the classroom. Thank you. We will meet at 12:30 for the next technical session. Welcome back, everyone. We will now begin with technical session 5, which will be chaired once again by the dynamic duo Shri Salil Kumar Mukhopadhyay and Professor Badri Narayan Rath. May I request both of you to please make your way to the dais. Let's give a round of applause to Shri Mukhopadhyay and Professor Rath. May I call upon the discussants to join us on stage? Mr. A.K. Panigri, Director, Industrial Statistics Wing, Enterprise Survey Division, NSO. Ms. Ankita Mondal, Assistant Director, Industrial Statistics Wing, Enterprise Survey Division, NSO. And Aditya Mandal, Assistant Director, Directorate General of Commercial Intelligence and Statistics, Department of Commerce. They will be jointly presenting a paper together. We are still waiting, I think, for Ms. Ankita Mondal and Mr. Aditya Mandal. Are they in the room? Oh, okay, fine. All right. So we will have Mr. A.K. Panigrahi, and our second discussant will be Mr. Saurish Datta, Assistant Professor, Vivekananda Institute of Professional Studies, Technical Campus, Delhi. Mr. Datta. So since we have two discussants, I'm assuming that the session will be a little shorter. I hand it over to both the chairpersons. Over to you, sirs.
Now we have to be a bit, we have to adopt a bit of time budgeting. Now we have to went up by 150, so 130. So I will request the presenters to spend 10 minutes, 10 to 12 minutes for presentation of the papers, and then 10 minutes we will reserve for question and answer session. So the two papers of the first one, I will request Dr. Panigrahi to make a presentation using yes.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon to all. So, due to some personal emergency, Ankita Mandal and Aditya Mandal could not join here. So far, I'm presenting whole paper today. So as you know, my paper is Dynamics of Contract Workers in Manufacturing Sector in India, Evidence from ASI Data. This is my plan of presentation. So as you know, the contract workers are those workers hired for a specific project or for a limited duration or are crucial part of India's workforce. And contract workers are either may be directly engaged by the companies or factories or may be taken from the outsource agencies from the service provider. And most of the time, rather than paying the workers directly, the employer pay the agency the wage of these contract workers. And company is not liable for these workers' social security, health insurance, pensions, or layoff pay. And in today's world, as you know, the number of contract workers has increased significantly over the years, particularly in sectors such as construction, manufacturing, IT and services like security and cleaning activities. The trend of contract work is also rising in e-commerce, delivery services, and gig economy platform. Contract workers are often faced many challenges, including job security, duration of work, working environment, limited benefits, low wages, etc. Contract workers don't have long-term job security as their employment is often dependent on the duration of a project or a contract. They can be laid off with little notice. And what the literature is telling all about the contract worker? Let us see, the research on contract workers in India's organized manufacturing sector has been conducted from various perspectives, including labor economics, industrial relations, social welfare, and policy analysis. One of the paper by Bertrand et al. 2021 found that the rise of contract labor increased total factor productivity in Indian manufacturing sector by 7.6%. Other studies found that there are dramatic increase in the relative use of contract workers in some of the subsectors, namely tobacco, chemical products, and non-metallic metal industries in organized manufacturing sector in India. And some other studies have also observed that due to liberalization process of Indian economy, contract workers are increasing after 2000 in place of direct workers, which also tend to low productivity, low wages, fragile employment, and income insecurity. With this background, let us see what are the objectives of this paper. So the first objective is to study the employment scenario in organized manufacturing sector over the last decade. And the second one is to examine the participation rate of contract workers in organized manufacturing sector with respect to state as well as industry. The third one is to examine the wage differentials among contract workers with respect to direct workers in organized manufacturing sector. The ASI data is the major source for this paper. We have used ASI data from 2011-12 to 2022-23, the latest one. As you know, the block E collects data on employment aspects and categories of employment, which includes direct worker, contract worker, and other than worker, managerial supervisor or clerical staffs. So that are captured in block A. And we are concentrating on the focus of study area is contract workers participation rate and wage differential ratios. And the 4 data points we have used broadly 11, 12, 14, 15, 19, 20, and broadly these are the data description. Who are the contract worker? Already from the literature some indications are there, but what ASI used here? The contract worker individual not directly on factory's payroll, but engaged via external intermediaries through contractor or agents. And the total worker is the manufacturing or industrial worker. We are saying that encompass all categories of direct, formal, informal, and contractual involved in any dimension of manufacturing continuum of for wages. And including these workers plus other than the worker are called as total persons engaged. A panoramic headcount of all personnel engaged in or tangentially connected to the manufacturing process are the nothing but the total persons engaged. And in more detail, the total persons is nothing but the workers plus employed other than worker, and this worker includes direct workers plus contract workers. And this other than worker include the employees other than workers include supervisory, managerial staff, clerical, administrative, technical court, and many other things. Those are not directly related to the manufacturing process. In that way, they are different from worker and other than worker. And another part of interest is wages. These wages include all remuneration capable of being expressed in monetary terms and also paid more or less regularly in each pay period to workers as compensation to work done during the accounting year. And the methodology used is here to estimate the participation rates. It is nothing but the proportion of specified category of workers employed in the total workers and contributing in the organized manufacturing process. Participation rate of workers in labor force is nothing but total workers divided by total persons engaged into 100. And contract workers participation rate is nothing but total contract workers divided by total workers into 100. And wage differential ratio has been defined as average contract workers wage divided by average direct workers wage into 100. Let us see what are the results and findings from this study. As we have observed that the composition of directly employed worker, contract worker, workers and employees other than workers from based on 11-12 as base and 22-23 is the current data available, and we have estimated the CAGR. As you know, the total persons engaged is 1.85 crore individuals employed in India's organized manufacturing sector. And their growth is up from 1.34 crore in 11-12 and increased to 1.84 crore, which is 51 lakh jobs over last decades. And the compound annual growth rate is 3% per annum over the decade. Whereas, let us see the contract workers' growth rate. It is 4.7 and highest within this decade. And the quantitative expansion accompanied by stable employment structure warranting closer examination of workforce composition. Let us see what is their workforce composition. Within the total workforce, we are saying total persons engaged. The composition of worker was 77, almost 78% in 11-12, and it has stable over the period. During last decade, it is only just 79%. Whereas other than the worker are around 21-22. It implies that workers are the backbone of the industry. Without worker, the industry cannot survive. Because the marketing part, the advertisement activity, they are not directly related to the manufacturing process. In that way, their composition is just a little bit 1/5 of the total workforce. But majority are the industrial worker, which is around 79% right now. And the core versus managerial role, already I have spoken all these figures. So the composition between workers and non-workers has exhibited minimal fluctuation over the decade. And production workers form the structural bedrock, underscoring their pivotal role in the industrial output ecosystem of the organized manufacturing sector. Let us see the composition of contract worker within worker, how it is their composition of direct worker and contract workers. And let us see, in 11-12, it was only 65% is the direct worker. And the remaining, that is around 35% are the contract worker. And what happened to today? Because almost 59% has been declined, and contract worker proportion has increased significantly from 35 to now it is 41%. And I'm not going about absolute figures growth about this contract worker because of time constraint, and similarly for direct worker and contract worker labor, already I have spoken. So let us see the concentration of contract workers. Where are these contract workers are concentrated? In which activities? So I have given that a tree diagram of top 10 industries, which consists of around 73% of the total contract worker are dominated within these top 10 industrial activities. Among them, the top one is other non-metallic mineral products, followed by food products, basic metal, and tobacco products, motor vehicle, and then what are the states where the contract workers are concentrating? And among these top 10 states, they constitute around 76% of the total contract workers, among which the Maharashtra is the top one. 15.4%, followed by Gujarat, Tamil Nadu, Telangana, Haryana, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Karnataka, and Rajasthan, West Bengal, and Punjab. Let us see the contract workers' participation rate. In all India basis, it is only 41% of contract workers' participation rate. But it is varying across industrial activities. The activities like coke and petroleum products, the 74% of the total workforce are the contract workers, followed by tobacco products, almost 74%. Other mining and quarrying, motor vehicle, the left side are the other than the all India average, and the right side are the below average of all India. And where are these states? The contract workers participation rate, Tripura is 86% of contract workers, Bihar, Telangana, Meghalaya, and lots many. And there are states like Arunachal Pradesh, Delhi, Manipur, Kerala, Tamil Nadu. The contractual participation rate is significantly low. Please click on the link, please. So there are some of the tables. I will show about this time series data. What is it? The figures are stable or not? Because this concentration, contract workers concentration with respect to industrial activities have stable over the years. And similar result for the state as well. Go down, please. Down. Yes. And the similar results are also observed in based on participation rate. But go to up. There are some activities like coke and petroleum products. The participation rate has increased from 43% to 74%, and similarly lots of changes happen across the state as well as industrial activities. Close it and go to the slides, please. Yes. So let us see the wage differential ratios. How much wages the contractual workers are getting right now? If we see the 2011-12 data, the contractual workers are getting 205 rupees only, and at that time direct workers are 293, whereas in 22-23 they are getting 482 rupees per day, whereas direct workers are getting 617 rupees per day. And over the years, always contract workers are getting lower wages than the direct workers. Let us click on the link, please. And go to the down, please. Yes, go to up, thoda sa. All India average, the 78% is the wage of contract workers getting in comparison to the direct workers. And what is the scenario? The gap is reducing, because earlier it was 40% in 11-12, but over the year it has increased. So I'm not going about detailed discussion because of time constraint. Please close the slide and I will skip to my conclusion of this discussion. So the contract workers participation rate has significantly increased during the last decade and reached at around 40.7% in 22-23. Industrial activities, namely manufacturing of coke and refined petroleum products, has the highest contract workers participation rate, followed by tobacco products and mining and quarrying activities. States, namely Tripura, Bihar, Telangana, Meghalaya, and Goa, has the contract workers participation significantly high in the organized manufacturing sector in 22-23. And industrial activities, namely tobacco products, motor vehicle, trailers and semi-trailers, and computer, electronic and optical products have significantly high average number of contract workers per factory. And contract workers are earning 22% less wages than the direct workers in organized manufacturing sector. During last 10 years, contract workers are always earning lesser wages than the direct workers in organized manufacturing sector. Industrial activities, namely coke and refined petroleum products, tobacco products, motor vehicle, trailers and semi-trailers, and pharmaceutical and medicinal, chemical, botanical products have significantly high wage gaps between direct and contract workers. Telangana, Jharkhand, Tripura, and Bihar contract workers are earning lesser wages than the counterpart direct workers in organized manufacturing sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Panigrahi. This is very incisive analysis of the different aspects for the contractor workers, starting from the particular rate wages and the differentials that exist between the contract workers and the workers
which are on the payroll of the industry. Thank you very much. Now I request Professor Sauris Datta to make a presentation on the supply use and input-output tables based on ASI data. Thank you.
Thank you for this opportunity and good afternoon to everyone. So my presentation is on this very disaggregated level supply use table as well as its derivative input output table. So I am using national product code for manufacturing sector. So it is in your website mostly, and it is very disaggregated level using center product code classification 5-digit plus 2-digit for domestic purpose, domestic specification. And initially from 1998, they actually those classification was ASI commodity code, but now it is harmonized with international level. So I am using that data for input-output table. Yeah. So this is the overview. First, why supply use table and input-output table matter, and then part 1 methodology generating input-output flow matrix. Then from system supply and use table to symmetric input-output table. Then I'll use this industry technology assumption, and in MOSPI website that manual is there. So MOSPI also using this UN handbook for supply and use table. They are also using this industry technology assumption. And then the analytical power will come from this Leontief inverse matrix. So after that, I will estimate this domestic value addition and foreign value addition in production as well as export. Then estimation part 2, employment linkages. And for a case study base, it is because PLI is very successful for mobile sector. So actually it is a part of a project. So Apple India actually requested Professor Vinawani sir to do this research. So I helped him for doing this value chain for this mobile value chain within India using that NPCMS 4722200 production code. So for 2016-21 and then conclusion. So it is the acknowledgement. So I wrote this paper in CDS Trivandrum. So it is a big project under GVC project, and summarized portion is actually published in Economic Survey 23-24, chapter 10, page 360. So context is why SUT and IIT matters because of this system of national account. So recent system of national account 25 just in March they released it. So they actually focused on this contemporary economic analysis for policymaking, especially in the area of global value chain. So relevance is that the table is very crucial for understanding complex economic structure, intersector flow. So here it is interproduct flow. So analyzing the impact of policy, and they also can help address the modern challenges for digitalization, climate changes. And my paper contribution is just construct a highly granular 7-digit product level system, supply use table as well as input output tables for 2016-21. So in this paper it is 2016 to 21 input output table, but I created for 24 years. It is I created in R platform. So just if you generate code for 1 year, so you can replicate easily for 24 years. So it is there. So it is due to, because of my PhD studies, I did it, and but partially for this project. So key focus is methodology for table construction, then transforming this industry technology assumption, then application to the domestic value addition, employment, particularly case study for mobile phone sector. So for foundation is this national product code for manufacturing sector 7-digit and NIC 5-digit code, and obviously challenges will be there. So I concorded this NPCMS to NIC for each factory. Then data sources and aggregation. So for register manufacturing, obviously it is input-output. So we need some unorganized sector also, because ASI for organized sector. So ASI blocks IHF for inputs, and I used J and G blocks for output. Then data aggregated at NIC 5-digit sector. Then unidentified inputs, other basic materials, as well as consolidated other unidentified inputs also considered. And for unregistered manufacturing, I used this claims data. So it is very aggregated data, but I have this 7-digit product level data. So I actually proportionally distributed all the 7-digit product share in claims. So that's for this same time period. So first is generating input-output flow matrix. So input flow matrix means use table. It captures that inter-indices transaction at purchaser price. So row show the product utilization and column shows the industry inputs, include raw materials, chemicals, and maintenance supplies. It requires actually manual balancing allocation for unidentified items, means other inputs also. So then output matrix is supply matrix. Details for industry-specific products output, consolidated, registered, and unregistered sector, organized as industry by product matrix. So transformation problem. Supply instability is rectangular, more products, obviously more products than industry, converting to them square and symmetric input-output table product by product or industry by industry requires assumption about production technology. So ASUT framework conceptually is from UN handbook, and most we actually follow a same handbook, UN handbook. So I use that same formula from that MOSPI as well as UN handbook. So supply table formula is that you need to show that product supply from domestic industry. So it is a make matrix, and then you have to consider the imported products also, then summing all the total supply, domestic as well as imported. Then use table, you have to use the intermediate consumption by industries. So you can break down into domestic usage as well as imported usage. Then you have to use the final demand also. So if you sum up, so for G, it is that G is the total industry output. So it is the U is the here U is the use table, means from all the intermediate goods. Then W is the value added, and from product level it is the intermediate use, domestic output as well as imported from imported output, all the things. So it is a structure, so integrated supply use framework. So you can see all the rows are products, 7-digit products are there. It is a schematic version, and all the matrices are arranged accordingly. So for supply table, use table, and then integrated supply use table. So it is the partial portion of the integrated supply use table is the supply table as well as in use table. So it is from that handbook. So there are two, means mostly there are 4 assumptions at international level, but for this purpose, I am considering only two assumptions. 2 assumptions are viable for this constructing the matrix. So production technology is not applicable. So in MOSPI handbook, they also did it, but it is not applicable for, but IMF actually doing all the training for government officials based on this production technology, but I am using this industry technology. Industry technology assumes each industry has a unique input structure irrespective of this, of its products mix, so often preferred for byproducts. This paper use this industry technology. So all the usual matrices are there. So U is the intermediate use matrix, B is the supply or make matrix, then column vector of gross industry output is there, then column vector for gross product output is there, and row vector for value added components are there. So these are the steps for it is available in MOSPI website in manual as well as UN handbook. So steps are, first you have to derive this product mix matrix, then you have to do this transformation matrix, and then input coefficient matrix, you will get it. So input coefficient matrix is very crucial because it will then generate the Leontief inverse. Then you can calculate this value-added coefficient matrix. So after doing this, all the calculations, so just for simple structure, so dimension is 5,000 by 5,000, almost 5,000. So in NPCAs, around 5,000 products are there. And what are the remaining extra products? Those are the other inputs, output. Those are not consolidated in NPCMS code, but I have to categorize because, and services portion also there. So in National Product Code for Service Sector is also there in MOSPI website. So that broad classification I have used for services also. So that's why these large dimensions. So now we have to use this matrix A, symmetric input-output table matrix A. So it represents that direct input requirement per product output. So after getting this, you can easily do this Leontief inverse. Then what do this Leontief? What is the importance of this Leontief inverse? It actually captured the direct and indirect effect. Means the multiplier effect as well as ripple effect through the economy. From a product perspective, industry perspective, you can do anything. So application is enable powerful analysis in economic interdependence, output value added, and employment multiplier you can calculate, and you can do all the impact analysis of policy changes, external shocks, changes in export, investment, tracing global value chain, which is very important. So now I have to estimate this domestic value added in production as well as export. So it is a usual formula, domestic value added. So value added coefficient matrix is there, then Leontief matrix, then output diagonal matrix. So using this, I have to calculate this domestic value added. Similarly, I have to calculate this foreign value added in production as well as export. Foreign value added calculate just subtracting domestic value added from gross export as well as gross production. Means it is domestic. I have calculated domestic value added in production as well as domestic value added in export. So from that you can get easily this foreign value added in production as well as foreign value added export. So these are the decomposition. You can decompose total domestic value added into direct, indirect. Similarly, for employment coefficient, you have to use it. Just replace the value added matrix with the employment coefficient matrix. Then you will get the employment linkage. Then you have to estimate this employment linkage using the direct as well as indirect employment you can generate. Then data sources, obviously these claims and ASI, and claims is organized, unorganized, then ASI organized sector for purpose. So context is why the mobile sector, because it is key for manufacturing ambition, India's, because Make in India PLI scheme success. So I analyzed for 16-18 and then 19-21 because of this national policy on electronics 2019. So there is a structural gap between two periods. So phase-wise, I did all the analysis. So output and trade dynamics, if you see. So when I am saying the percentage, it is between two phases, changes in two phases. So significant increase around from first phase to second phase, it is 66%. Then import substitution actually happening, means it is what is the importance between of this national policy on electronics. It is initially before NPE, initially government focus only import substitution. It is very narrow-minded. But when you appreciate the GVC, actually it will lead you import substitution, but in a very broad manner. Broad manner means integrating MSMEs in the supply chain. So then your domestic value addition will rise, domestic value addition in export as well as production will rise, but it will rise in a broader manner, means it is not narrow-minded, means you will not restrict any imported components for this purpose. So output growth is happening, import substitution actually happening, so import actually decrease, then DVA trend, if you see, so direct DVA actually growth happened very radically, means more than 100%. So that's why all the ministers actually announcing the PLI success in this mobile phone industry. Same for total DVA actually grew around very radically, more than 3. The puzzle is domestic value-added share of output actually peaked in 2019, then dipped slightly in ASI, while claims actually showed a higher share. Why? Because after NPE 2019, actually MSME is actually integrating in this value chain, this mobile sector value chain. So that's why it is captured in claim. So foreign value added actually decreased, but overall average value still rose around 11%. Then export value added in export actually dramatically increased also. So all the arguments around Professor Raghuram Rajan that we are not value adding in the mobile sector, it is not so much, because he did it in gross sector, gross trade data, but it is value added data. So key finding is a significant larger proportion of export value now generated domestically. So overall employment, so contractualization rising, but regular worker growth also happening. Then female participation also actually growth happening for around 52% increase, grew much faster than male workers. So non-worker workers share remain relatively stable. Then wage. Actually, total wage also increased. Wage for contractual workers also radically increased, outpacing the regular workers, 89%. So backward linkages, what are the components? So it is 7 digits, so you can find out all the components. So domestic services, trade, business services, financial contract, construction, rental services are there. Then wires, plastic, metal parts are there, PCB, IC. It is from domestic sourcing, and foreign sourcing, cellular parts and transmitter, apparatus, and various components, means PCB, ICs, LCDs, batteries, plastic. So methodological advancement, it is that very disaggregated level. Key findings is PLI is very successful and strong output growth is happening and export surge is happening. So, and that's it. So, thank you.
Thank you, Professor Dr. Datta, on this. And now we reserve 10 minutes for question and answer session. Yeah.
First of all, thank you very much, Dr. Panigrahi and Dr. Datta, for the insightful papers. I made some comments of Dr. Datta's paper, where you have identified the import substitution regarding, because this is very less, but you have taken the NPCMS code for the mobile phones. But if you see the import data or export data, which published by DGCIS and the Ministry of Commerce, they are actually branded phone, that mobile phone which has a code, that has been decreased. But the parts, because they are importing the huge number of parts and then assembling here. So definitely I would request you, if feasible, you just look into the parts of the mobile phones and their import figure. These insights, that would be helpful for the actual import, the perspective, it would be better to know. This is my submission.
Hello. My question to Dr. Panigri, sir. Sir, have you taken the contract worker, the skilled worker or a non-skilled worker? I think if I taken the skilled worker of the contract worker, the result might be changed.
Hello, sir. Panigrahi, sir, for you. Sir, have you taken this inflation into account while, this comparing the wages results of both contract worker and direct workers?
Hello. I have a small query to Dr. Datta that in the input-output analysis, your basic input-output equation is x output is equal to ax plus f plus m minus x. I mean export. Now, for manufacturing sector, you have got this data x and industry in the row and industry in the column from the ASI data. Now, regarding that identity, that final demand, where you got the data, particularly with reference to export, import, you can get from DGCIS, but for manufacturing item demanded by the households, how you are getting. So that is my basic query. Okay. Thank you.
Just one clarificatory question to Dr. Panigrahi. You have shown that wage differential between direct workers and contract workers has reduced over time, differential. Now, point is, if somebody asks you that this wage differential between contract and direct workers may be due to the fact that one person talked about difference in the skill level. I know that is not there in the database, but also could be the fact that the direct workers, they are required to spend more number of hours than contract workers. I know this information is not available in the ASI database. So what would be for much richer analysis, if you have to wage per hour, what could be the additional requirement or questions in the ASI? This is one point as a suggestion, because enterprise survey unit division is here, all senior officers. Number one. Number two, it comes to my mind that from ASI database, if somebody wants to have some idea about the total number of workers, not the total number of persons even engaged by gender wise, how many male, how many female, I think our questionnaire does not permit to generate that. Because you have gender-wise breakup only for direct workers. I mean workers only, not the supervisory and other category. So I think time has come to introduce some question, even for gender-wise breakup for other than workers. That information needs to be collected through ASI. This is a suggestion for consideration. Yes.
Just a quick thing on Dr. Panigrai's presentation and leading from what Dr. Manda said. You see, if you go to an ASI factory, you'll find that the contract workers are usually in the security, cleaning, loading, unloading. So a direct comparison between direct workers and contract workers without looking at the occupational skills is a bit of a problem. So that is something you need to address. And have you compared this with the PLFS data, where you get a larger subset, your participation rate within the enterprise or the, what do you call the establishment, really that rate is not very meaningful. But the rates will remain same. If they're in the loading and unloading, they'll continue to remain in that. And contract worker is a thing which you cannot wish away. It will continue to be there. The numbers may rise. And especially with now AI and other things coming in, the level of direct workers will go down. So you'll have to look at it from the industry perspective as well.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. So now I request Panigrahi to answer your questions and then Dr. Datta.
So first, I will take the first question about contract workers skilled and not skilled. Already Manas have already that in ASI we are not collecting the level of skill of the workers. So that's why it is not possible. And regarding the inflation account of contract and direct worker, are you talking or wages are you talking? Wages are you talking? Yeah, wages. So it is not, it is in current price because I am not comparing with the previous year's wage with current year's wage. I am comparing with what contract workers is getting at a point of time and what direct workers are getting. Because consciously I know that it is not required for because what my objective is, so that's why I have not converted into constant price. And Manna Saab question about wage differential reduced. So more number of hours are in ASI, we are not mandated work we are collecting, and from that number of persons engaged we are deriving, and from that I have estimated the wages and salary per annum, then per day, divided into the number of days. No, because hour-wise data are not captured at all. Man-days work are captured. Yes. Yeah, I think the F40 field person can write. They can say what they are visiting. Showing our enterprise or design may not be helpful, sir. Thank you, sir. And ways for already, okay, gender-wise info already highlighted, and regarding the workers, we have the gender-wise, but total person, we have not done it. And Praveen Saab's question like sector, sir, the security and the loading unloading are not as a part of contract workers as per our definition of ASI. Those are directly included in the manufacturing process. They are in the industrial workers because they are safety security something different way, and where those are guarding the premises workshop, that security will be included, but not in the total premises. In that way, this loading, unloading, they are not considered as a worker in ASI. Yeah, that is a weak question, sir. Yeah. But as per our concept and definition, they are not as a part of worker first. So, and the comparison about PLFS and rightly point the sophisticated technology. I think that part, the productivity, total factor productivity, I think last session they have discussed, I think that capture that part, how the productivity improve about labor or capital and technology. I think in that way AI and MLs are taken care. So I think I have tried to attempt all the questions. Thank you.
Hello. Actually, first question, components. Actually, I used all the coefficient from this input-output table. I'll come to, it is not full-fledged input-output table. Obviously, I am just individual one for doing for PhD. So how can I do this full-fledged input-output table for national income accounting? So for components and all the mobile final outputs, so I took all the ministry data, but for coefficient purpose, I use this input-output table because I need to calculate this domestic value added. And I compared, we actually compared this with this Raghuram Rajan's calculation they did for desegregated level data analysis from trade data, but we used this input-output coefficient as well as ministry data. So then we actually saw that that trade deficit, which actually presented that it is increasing, but it is not increasing because actually we used Ghosh inverse matrix also because for allocation, how input actually allocating to mobile as a final product. So because if you have Leontief inverse, you can easily calculate if you have A matrix, you can easily calculate this Ghosh matrix. So from that, you can do that supply side inverse matrix. So that allocation purpose, we actually showed in that report, and you can see that economic survey 23-24, briefly it is discussed that trade deficit actually is not rising, it is decreasing, because initial confusion was that all the imported components actually mobile for mobile phone production, but actually if you see that supply side means allocation means Ghosh inverse matrix, so you will see that maximum component actually contributing from imported components actually 20% to mobile factor. Other electronics items are there, they are also importing those components, but from gross trade data you cannot calculate how much proportion actually going to mobile sector. So from this desegregated level, you can see from Ghosh matrix. So you can see that how much that imported component actually contributing to mobile sector. So for coefficient purpose, I have used this input-output table, but for absolute values, all the component values, so it is obviously published data from ministry. So I use that data. And obviously, final demand, it is for my GVC PhD purpose. So I have just calculating plant level GVC integration index. So for that, I created this manufacturing input output table. It is not full-fledged national income accounting purpose. So why I am confident, why I am saying this input output table, because after following all the rules from handbook as well as Mosby handbook, so I calculated this Hawkins-Simons. So Hawkins-Simons criteria is means if that A matrix absolute value of eigen if it is less than 1, so you are achieving that equilibrium, means it will give that unique value. So I am getting that positive, as well as to get to check this Hawkins-Simon condition, so you need this unique equilibrium. So if there is multiple equilibrium, then it is not input output table, obviously. You cannot deterministically say that these inputs actually contributing to this final production of this mobile manufacturing.
Minus X, I mean export,
Yeah.
that is positive. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
positive.
yeah.
And I minus A
Yeah.
whole inverse, that is
Yeah.
a Leontief inverse.
Yeah.
And that determinant
Yeah.
is
Okay.
the Hawkins-Simon conditions basically.
Yeah.
So if you don't have that information, then you cannot, even if Hawkins-Simon, I mean, how will you get the Hawkins-Simon? Only AIJ matrix and one minus AIJ matrix, I minus AIJ
Yeah, yeah.
matrix. So that will not, I mean, you need to have that right
Final
demand. Without that, that is...
it is not full-fledged national income accounting.
Considering the paucity of the time, actually, this is a very interesting discussion is going on. So I will release especially during long time. But thank you, the presenters of the papers. We are also thankful to those authors whose papers were not selected for some reason, maybe the paucity of the time, only for 2 days we could not accommodate so many. So thank you very much. And I am also thankful to all the participants and their interest that is exhibited by raising so many pertinent questions and getting almost all their doubts and queries clarified. Thank you very much.
No, I would like to again congratulate both of you for writing 2 wonderful papers, which are, I personally believe, very much innovative in nature. As you know, because of the time constraint, as Mukhopadhyay sir already said, I don't have any comment at the moment, but definitely would like to interact and provide few inputs during the launch or post session. Thank you. Yes.
Sessions end here. I would like to thank the paper readers, Sri A.K. Panigrahi and Sri Soresh Datta, for your papers, and also the chairs, Sri Saril Kumar Mukhopadhyay and Professor Badri Narayan Rath, for smoothly conducting the sessions. May I now request you to kindly take your seats in the audience. Thank you so much. We shall begin with the valedictory session soon. We take a short break to arrange the stage.
ओके ओके चालेल
सगळे झाले सुरू करू नमस्कार। सांख्यिकी और कार्यक्रम कार्यान्वयन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार और गोवा विश्वविद्यालय के संयुक्त तत्वावधान में आयोजित राष्ट्रीय प्रतिदर्श सर्वेक्षण के 78वें और 79वें दौर राष्ट्रीय प्रतिदर्श सर्वेक्षण सांख्यिकी और कार्यक्रम कार्यान्वयन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार की महानिदेशक माननीय सुश्री गीता सिंह राठौर, केंद्रीय सांख्यिकी के महानिदेशक माननीय श्री नरेंद्र कुमार संतोषी, प्रमुख अतिथि के रूप में भारत के पूर्व मुख्य सांख्यिकीविद और राष्ट्रीय प्रतिदर्श सर्वेक्षण के 79वें दौर के कार्य समूह के पूर्वाध्यक्ष और सांख्यिकी और कार्यक्रम कार्यान्वयन मंत्रालय, भारत सरकार के पूर्व सचिव माननीय श्री प्रवीण श्रीवास्तव और गुणवत्ता नियंत्रण प्रभाग के उप महानिदेशक माननीय श्री सुब्रमण्यम राव। मैं मान्यवरों से निवेदन करती हूं कि कृपया मंच पर अपना स्थान ग्रहण करें। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद और स्वागत। अब हम अपने सहभागी प्रपत्र पाठकों को प्रमाण पत्र भेंट करेंगे। प्रपत्र पाठकों के नाम लिए जाएंगे। प्रपत्र पाठकों से विनम्र निवेदन है कि आप कृपया मान्यवरों से सादर अपना प्रमाण पत्र स्वीकार करें। सबसे पहले मैं निवेदन करती हूँ माननीय सुश्री गीता सिंह राठौर मैम से कि कृपया प्रपत्र पाठकों को प्रमाण पत्र प्रदान करें। सबसे पहले श्री पुनीत कुमार श्रीवास्तव। श्री पीयूष कुमार सिंह। श्री विनोद बिहारी जेना। श्री टी.के. चक्रवर्ती। सुश्री अनुष्का माथुर। आप सबको बहुत बधाई और शुभकामनाएं। धन्यवाद मैम। अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ माननीय श्री नरेंद्र कुमार संतोषी सर से कि आप पाठकों को प्रमाण पत्र प्रदान करें। सबसे पहले श्री अमलन मजुमदार। श्री आशीष मोक्तन। सुश्री राजेश्वरी कस्तूरी। उपरांत श्री आशीष यादव, सुश्री ममता चौधरी और सुश्री सुमन पटेल। आप सबको बधाई, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ माननीय श्री प्रवीण श्रीवास्तव सर से कि कृपया प्रमाण पत्र प्रदान करें। सबसे पहले सुश्री सोनाख्या समादार, श्री उज्जवल श्रीवास्तव, श्री दीपांकर मित्र, श्री जुगो प्रसाद प्रकाश भट्टाचार्य, श्री A.K. पाणिग्रही, और श्री शौरेश दत्ता। बधाई, बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। संस्था गोवा विश्वविद्यालय के आतिथ्य और सहयोग के प्रति अपनी कृतज्ञता व्यक्त करना चाहती है और उन्हें सम्मानित करना चाहती है। मैं निवेदन करती हूँ क्षेत्रीय कार्यालय गोवा के निदेशक बामनी मोहन जिनप्पा सर से कि वे कृपया गोवा विश्वविद्यालय के जनसंपर्क के सहायक कुल सचिव और विश्वविद्यालय में शिद्दत से सतत कार्यरत रहने वाले श्री शशिकांत मोरस्कर सर को सम्मानित करें। जी आप भी रहें मंच पे साथ में। शाल, मारियो मिरांडा के कैरिकेचर चित्र और स्मृति चिन्ह से आपको सम्मानित किया जा रहा है। आपको बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया, धन्यवाद सर। मान्यवरों का धन्यवाद। अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ माननीय श्री नरेंद्र कुमार संतोषी सर से कि कृपया अपना वक्तव्य दें।
my colleague Ms. Geeta Singh, DG NSS, respected Parvesh Srivastava, Dr. J.C. Manna ji, all friends. For the last 2 days, I am listening all these papers. Those who have presented the papers, they have done the very wonderful work. So my congratulations to all the presenters. Just 1 or 2 points just I would like to highlight here. Yesterday somebody was saying about the SDGs 4. So as you know, the ministry is monitoring the SDGs, and all the respective ministries, they are the owner or their indicators. We are coordinating at the national level with all the ministries there. And one thing that we have done in these indicators, there are 28 indices or this indicators, as like the global, those are the global indicators, the Human Development Index and this thing. So there are 28 indexes there. So what the ministries has started right now there, ministry has assigned this work to the officers at the level of DD, joint directors. They are examining these indicators and finding out their outcomes. If we see that these are the good outcomes and we should tell to the ministries there, so we are writing to the ministries to take up this matter with the national agency, international agencies there. Suppose somewhere the denominator is not perfect there. So we are writing to the ministries, these are the findings we have observed. Just you take up these matters with the international organizations, those who are bringing out these indicators. So this new work we have started in the ministries there. And in a presentation for this, recently the presentation we have seen for the mobile sectors, somebody has done the good presentation there. So this is the good thing, the PLI is for this incentive things there. So PLI scheme, that if you have given some incentive to the manufacturing units, so definitely you will find the outcomes there. The productivity will increase. The manpower, that you can say that assigned manpower will also increase there. But you see, if you can correlate these things with the other industries, suppose we have given the productivity in the manufacturing sectors, you see that other factories which are in our country are not getting the productivity PLI's benefits, whether any impact has been observed in that areas there, whether the manufacturing has gone, productivity has gone down in the other sectors, those who are not getting the PLI incentives there. Like that, some analysis should be there so that at least we can say that how the sector is growing and it has an impact to the other sectors there. So that if we will do this type of analysis, at least you will get the good result in your analysis there. And one observation for that health sectors, somebody has told that about the 3.5% is the contribution in the global GDP in the health sectors there. If you can just correlate it with how the other countries are spending in their health sectors there, that it will be a good output. And in this set, we are saying that India is contributing 8.3% in the GDP in the health sectors there. This includes this output, pocket out of pocket expenditure. Even though I did submitted a paper in that Terry University on that paper there, but out of pocket expenditure, it's a big factor that India's are contributing there because of the several things there. Our health sectors is not so growing in that, government sector is not so growing as much it should be, but most of our patients are going in the private sector. So we are contributing a lot in the out-of-pocket expenditure there. So if you can do this type of analysis in other countries, how is the scenarios there? Whether the other countries, they are the same conditions there, how much they are spending, out-of-pocket expenditure is growing in the other countries as compared to our countries there. So it will give a good idea about this thing there. So whatever the analysis you are doing the based on our survey result. If you can just add a few 1 or 2 points there, it will add the quality of your research there. Thank you very much.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर। अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ माननीय श्री प्रवीण श्रीवास्तव सर से कि कृपया अपनी समापन टिप्पणी दें।
Thank you, everyone. Last 2 days have been very enriching, and it's always a pleasure to address an audience like this, where you have a mix of academia, producers, users, researchers, all in the same forum, same platform. We started this conference with a wonderful poem, beautiful poem. Just the first line I'll repeat, Anganit se nikal ke ek tara tha. Wonderful lines, beautifully captures the journey of a statistician in counting the uncounted and trying to unravel the mysteries of a universe which we perceive is all documented, whereas it is not. And that's the rigor of a statistician, whether you're official or academic. So, official statistics produces public goods. The two major factors is that they're non-excludable, they're non-rivalrous. So its use does not diminish it. When for another person's use, you can't exclude anyone. And the fact that now all official data is available free of charge to the public, it means that we are doing our job. But this dialogue between the producer and the user or researcher, it's very important, it's very critical, because the criticism or the critique that comes from the research helps us produce better data. Producer-user dialogue is an essential part of the journey of an official statistician. And that's why I like these things. In a journey which MOSPI has been traversing for the last several decades, we are celebrating 75 years of the NSS. Similarly for the NSO, change is the only constant that we have. We are constantly changing to produce better goods. We are enriching ourselves. When I was in the health ministry, we had piloted a scheme known as data triangulation for official data. And we had 3 vertices in the triangle. One was the MIS data, second was the survey data, third was the community monitoring, which MOSPI is now piloting with citizen-generated data. So all these 3 apex, when they converge to a point, you know you got a single source of truth. So this is the journey, and that's why this producer-user dialogue is very helpful for converging the triangle into a single point. So this users community is very rich. Another thing that MOSPI has started is from, I think, 2016-17, we imbibed a curriculum of, in our probationary training, a concept of using NSS data. Now, internal users have an advantage. They know the ins and outs. They are living with the data every day. And the amount of research that has come out from the internal users, which has been shown in the last 2 days, is very enriching, very delightful, and very encouraging. The fact that internal users use your own data, it helps perfect the system into producing better quality goods. So this convergence of users, producers, internal users, external users, all of this combination is in an endeavor to give you policy constructs. When data gaps shows policy gaps, it helps improve policy making, and this is what the government is intending to do through its various programs and schemes. So therefore, your research is useful, no research is waste, but also always consider the larger perspective. Research for the sake of research has a certain activity where you want to get your degree or diploma or whatever, but then when you answer policy dialogues, it enriches the entire debate, informed decision making, and which is what policymakers want. The demand for data is much more. It far exceeds the supply of data. But the quality of data is improving every day. So it's a quantum jump that is taking place. So there would be inadequacies, and a lot of the survey data is exploratory in nature. Appreciate the measurement challenges. And that's why research helps us in improving the measurement challenges, and we force the dialogue into improving standards as well. You would be aware that India was responsible for bringing informality debate into the international discussion forum. Like that, we need to change standards if it is conflicting with what is there on the ground,
right? So creating new products, creating new, processes, improving use of technology, using AI, neural networks, and things that have been shown, really wonderful. That's how you improve quality of data and how you can reduce respondent burden, as one of the presenters made. So it's a very enriching and delightful journey. Thank you all for this, but please help us in building trust. So as part of the user community, look at the rigors which NSS goes into to produce the data, which you ignore the rigor, but you look at the data results only. Your words, your saying outside the statistical fraternity carries a lot of weight. Please join us in that effort. Thank you.
बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद सर, आपकी उपस्थिति ने हमें गौरवान्वित किया है। आपके सार्थक वक्तव्य के लिए और अनुभव के कोष से निकले आपके मार्गदर्शन के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अब मैं निवेदन करती हूँ गुणवत्ता नियंत्रण प्रभाग के उप महानिदेशक माननीय श्री सुब्रमण्य राव सर से कि आप समापन सत्र का औपचारिक धन्यवाद ज्ञापन करें।
Good afternoon all. Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and distinguished participants. As we reach the conclusion of this 18th National Seminar, it's my privilege to present the vote of thanks. To begin with, over the past 2 days, we have witnessed enriching discussions and thought-provoking suggestions have come. And we have been noting this, and we will try to incorporate this in our whatever our actions. We will try to take actions on that. And let me begin expressing my heartfelt thanks to Professor Harilal B. Menon, Vice Chancellor of the Goa University, for graciously hosting this seminar, and also he was present yesterday, and his team, especially Professor Pranab Mukhopadhyay and Sri Harikant sir, and the entire team of Goa University. They have provided such an environment, academic environment. They have provided all the support to us, and a big round of applause for the officials of the Goa University for providing this opportunity and hosting this 18th National Seminar. I extend my sincere thanks to Director General NSS for her visionary guidance in leading this organization to great heights. I also extend my sincere gratitude to DGCS N.K. Santoshi sir for sparing his valuable time and gracing this occasion. I would like to express my sincere thanks to Sri Praveen Srivastava, former Secretary, MOSPI and Chief Statistician of India, for joining us in this seminar. Sir, your continued involvement and vast experience has enriched this statistical system and has enriched discussions over the past 2 days. Sincere thanks to Dr. G.C. Manna sir, Professor Ankush Agrawal of IIT Delhi, and Professor Badrinarayan Rath of IIT Hyderabad for sparing their valuable time. I take this opportunity to welcome all the ADGs of NSSO and other officers for their presence and valuable guidance. A deep sense of gratitude to all the paper presenters, the discussants, and the participants from the ministries, research bodies, academic institutions, and international organizations whose rich contributions and active engagement made a very meaningful, and this seminar a very meaningful and impactful. We deeply express our gratitude to the regional office Goa, and especially led by the director Mohan and the assistant director Rupali and their team for the meticulous planning they have done and hosting this event in a tourist place like Goa is a very difficult task, and they have done a commendable job. A big round of applause for their team, and they have done a wonderful job. And to our online audience joined by YouTube, thank you for your participation. Your engagement has broadened the impact of the conference, ensuring that the knowledge shared today are far beyond these four walls. And I would use this occasion to share a few of the initiatives taken by the MOSPI, where the Goa University officials can engage with the MOSPI. These are some of we have published few research topics on our website, and the ministry, the research, the researchers and the students can participate in these research topics which we have published, and they can submit their papers. The other possibility is internship we provide, and the students of this university can participate in the internship programs. And also we provide granting aid for national or international level seminars. And this is a rolling plan over the year, and the institution can participate in these programs, various programs. And the details are available on our website. If they need any information, they can contact us for this one. Last but not least, officials from the NSSO, the various divisions of NSSO, who have for the past 4 days they are camping here, and they have done excellent one from NSS, from FOD, from CQCD, and other HSD and DNSD. We acknowledge their sincere contribution to make this event a successful one. Thank you all. Happy safe journey.
धन्यवाद सर। हताशा से एक व्यक्ति बैठ गया था। व्यक्ति को मैं नहीं जानता था, हताशा को जानता था। इसलिए मैं उस व्यक्ति के पास गया, मैंने हाथ बढ़ाया, मेरा हाथ पकड़कर वो खड़ा हुआ। मुझे वो नहीं जानता था, मेरे हाथ बढ़ाने को जानता था। हम दोनों साथ चले, दोनों एक दूसरे को नहीं जानते थे, साथ चलने को जानते थे। कवि विनोद कुमार शुक्ल। 2 महत्वपूर्ण संस्थाओं के संयुक्त तत्वावधान में ये 2 दिवसीय उत्कृष्ट आयोजन संपन्न हुआ। एक बड़ी जनता के सरोकारों के प्रति समर्पित 2 ऐसी संस्थाएं जहां सहकार्य, एकता और समर्पण के सिवा गंतव्य पाना संभव नहीं है। उम्मीद है कि ज्ञान, विज्ञान, प्रेम, संवेदनशीलता और एकता का बल आपको प्रेरित करता रहेगा। विश्व कोंकणी दिवस की बधाई देते हुए मेरी मातृभाषा में तुमका सगळ्यांक देव बरे करूं, तुमका फुडे एक बरो दीस आवडेता। आप सबका बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। ये समापन सत्र यही समाप्त होता है। बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। भोजन की व्यवस्था बाहर की गई है, कृपया उसका आस्वाद लें। डीडीजी और अन्य अधिकारियों के लिए कैफेटेरिया में और बाकी प्रतिभागियों के लिए क्लासरूम में व्यवस्था की गई है। शुक्रिया।